For over 2,000 years, there's been one question that has literally shaped empires. It's inspired incredible art, and it's defined one of the world's largest religions. It's a really ancient question, but it's one that is still so relevant. And the question is this: who is Jesus Christ? It sounds simple, right? But the answer? Well, the answer is anything but. It's been explored for centuries, and it really is the central mystery right at the heart of the Christian faith. To get a handle on this question is to start to understand Christianity itself. And, believe it or not, there is a formal field of study dedicated to answering this exact question. It's called Christology. It's the branch of theology that's totally focused on the person, the nature, and the work of Jesus Christ. And it gives us the framework for this whole explainer. Okay, so where do we even begin? Well, the starting point for Christology is this core theological puzzle of Jesus' identity. How could one person possibly have two completely distinct natures? And this is where we hit that fundamental paradox. Christian theology says that Jesus is, on one hand, true God, the eternal Son of God, but at the exact same time, he is also true man. He took on a full human nature, born into the world just like any of us. But, and this is the really crucial part, these two natures, the divine and the human, they aren't separate. They're not acting independently. No, they are completely and perfectly united in one single person. So this mind-bending concept, it actually has a specific theological name, the hypostatic union. And just look at how precise that definition is. It comes from the historic Council of Chalcedon. The union is without confusion, change, division, or separation. I mean, every single one of those words was chosen so carefully to make sure nobody misunderstood this foundational mystery. So, okay, if that's who Jesus is, then the next logical question has to be, what did he do? And that brings us right to the work of Christ, which is all about his purpose and what he did for humanity. The starting point for literally everything Jesus did is captured perfectly in this iconic verse from the Gospel of John. The Word became flesh. I mean, that one line just beautifully sums up the entire idea of the incarnation, God entering into the human story. So let's break down his work. It really unfolds in four key stages. First, you have the incarnation. From there, his life, death, and resurrection are seen as an act of redemption, basically healing the broken relationship between God and humanity. This makes him the ultimate mediator, the one bridge between the divine and the human. And it all culminates in his exaltation. That's his rising from the dead, ascending to heaven, and sending the Holy Spirit. Now, you gotta remember, these ideas didn't just pop out of nowhere fully formed. They were hammered out over centuries of intense, and I mean intense, debate and reflection. So that brings us to a quick history of these ideas. Let's just walk through this timeline for a sec. Back in 325 AD, the Council of Nicaea really cemented Jesus' full divinity against Arianism, which was the belief that he was actually created by God. Then, in 451, like we just saw, the Council of Chalcedon defined the two natures. Fast forward a few centuries, and you have thinkers like St. Anselm and St. Thomas Aquinas building these incredible systematic theologies. And that conversation is still going on today, with modern approaches like liberation and feminist Christologies that explore what Jesus' identity means in all kinds of different cultural and social situations. All right, so we've covered the who, the what, and how these ideas even came to be. But this brings us to the big one. Why does any of this matter? And the answer is, well, it's pretty much the very heart of the Christian faith. It matters for a ton of reasons. First off, who Jesus is defines what makes Christianity unique among all the world religions. That understanding then directly shapes every part of worship, from prayers to songs to services. It's also the entire foundation for the Christian idea of salvation and hope. And finally, it's the ultimate inspiration for discipleship, that call to try and follow Christ's example out in the world. And really, that brings us to the bottom line. Christology isn't just some abstract academic thing. It is the absolute heart of theology, because everything else in Christianity, every single doctrine, every practice, every hope, it all flows directly from the answer to that one single question: who is Jesus? And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. This quest to understand the identity of one person from 2,000 years ago has absolutely undeniably shaped our history. So the question for us now is, how does this ancient search continue to shape our world, our cultures, and maybe even ourselves today?